Straight off of a 4-year posting as Israel's ambassador to the United Nations and a longtime minister holding numerous portfolios, Gilad Erdan knows firsthand the challenges of Israeli governance and international diplomacy. Now he's helping to save Jewish lives when it counts most as global president of Magen David Adom. Sitting in conversation with JNS senior contributing editor Ruthie Blum, I present to you Ambassador Gilad Erdan.
Good evening, everyone. Okay.
Good evening.
I'm trying to balance the perfect English accent of Natasha. Of course, I will fail. Yes.
Now, let me hear. Yes, it's on. Welcome, Gilad Erdan. I'm glad that Alex introduced you because your bio is so long, it would have been hard for me to memorize it. But I would like to say, I think a lot of people here, many people know you as the ambassador at the UN and the United States. And you moved from this hornet's nest at the United Nations. You made this shift to this incredible organization, Magen David Adom, that actually helps people, unlike the UN, that does its best to harm everybody, especially Israel.
Yeah. She deserves a round of applause for what she said.
Thank you. So, but I'd like to know not only how that transition was, how did you make that decision to move from there to there? And also, what do you think should be done about the United Nations? I mean, I know you're out of there, but I'm sure you have some opinions about that.
Yeah. So first, good evening, and thanks for having me. Really great event and great speakers and a great crowd. It's good to be back in Israel. And yes, I'm here not as Israel's UN ambassador. I'm here as the global president of Magen David Adom. But first, since I also heard your question and the other speakers, I would like to share in a nutshell what I have learned about the UN in my 4-year term. And I learned that the UN not just lost its way, it's lost its purpose. I mean, the UN was founded after the Holocaust to fight and defend human rights and prevent atrocities. And when I was appointed, I always asked myself, okay, the UN is failing to prevent wars, but how is it possible that we are the only democracy in the Middle East and still 70% of the UN's condemnations, 70% are against Israel? How is it possible? But then when you learn deeply about the political makeup of the UN and you realize that it started with 51 member states that plus minus shared similar values, but today it's comprised of 193 countries, and most of the world is not aware of the fact that majority of countries at the United Nations are non-democracies, and almost 1/3 of them are Muslim countries. So the outcome, obviously, is a moral distortion. The outcome can lead to a situation whereas Lebanon is being selected to lead the International Court of Justice, while Lebanon is at war with Israel. Eritrea and Somalia are right now on the Human Rights Council. Crazy outcome. And Iran, of course, was elected to lead a social forum in the Human Rights Council. So I think that the conclusion today is that Israel must lead a global campaign to defund the UN completely, to dismantle the UN completely. And many people, when they hear me saying it, they think, oh, nonsense, it's not possible. It is. 80 years ago, the world had the League of Nations. It collapsed because it was a failure. And the same can happen today. We can convince President Trump. He already pulled out of the Human Rights Council. He already defunded UNRWA. He already pulled out from the World Health Organization. It is possible. And the United States is still the biggest funder of the UN. $19 billion every year out of $74 billion, the annual budget of the UN. We are paying our enemies to destroy us, the democratic world. It cannot continue. So this is my main lesson. Thank you.
Well, and if I weren't sitting here, I'd also be applauding, but I can't move the microphone. I just would like to add, though, I mean, you're absolutely right about the makeup of the UN, but let's get real. We know that there are plenty of Western countries who happily joined in condemning Israel at the UN or abstaining from condemnation. Let's not just say it's because of the third world or the Muslim countries.
I agree with you, but it's also because they surrendered, they cave into the interest, and that's again, we're going back into the distorted political makeup of the current UN. Why? Why we should give authorities when it comes to wars or human rights to the biggest human rights abusers? It doesn't make sense. But again, I don't want to, you have here Ambassador Danon, you heard a lot about the UN. I came here today because I'm so proud to be the global president of Magen David Adom, and it's important for me to share with you that, you know, after 4 years as fighting evil inside at the UN, I felt that I want to do like the polar opposite. I want to lead an organization that does pure good. And what can be more good than saving lives every day, every minute? And when you see, and when you see how a shift in Magen David Adom starts, you see the true nature of the Israeli society, not like as they describe us with all these falsehoods, apartheid state, etc. You see, it's like a beginning of a joke. You see an Orthodox rabbi with a Muslim Arab, with a secular Jew coming together on an ambulance to save lives, to save everyone's lives. So when I finished my term at the UN, I felt that this is what I want to do. And since October 7th, I even felt it more, because at the UN, you know how many times they try to blame us that we are attacking hospitals and we are targeting Palestinian ambulances. Well, I saw the opposite. I saw, everyone, I hope, heard the story of the late Amit Man. You know, our paramedic who fought and saved lives in Kibbutz Be'eri until her last moment, until she was murdered by the Hamas Nazis. And when I learned about the bravery of the MDA, Magen David Adom teams and paramedics and volunteers, we have 32,000 volunteers from every walk of life in Israel. Yeah. Every walk of life. So for me, it was an honor and a privilege to accept this role of global president.
Well, that's great. Also, I'm curious to know how, if you noticed the way in which Magen David Adom had to step up. You know, October 7th put us all in shock. It wasn't only the terrible massacre, but there are so many wounded people. So many people needed evacuation. The ambulances had to get ready. It was total chaos on October 7th. And by October 8th, everybody had to be prepared and evacuate people to the hospital. Did you see on October 7th, you were still in America. And, but since then, you've seen it develop. It must have had to move really quickly into a whole new phase.
Yeah, there was a shock, like everywhere else in Israel. I followed closely all the first responders in Israel because before I was appointed as UN ambassador, I was Israel's Minister of Public Security for 5 years. And one of the lessons as Minister of Public Security was that there's a new strategy of our enemies, and we have to pay attention. Yeah, we talk a lot about the importance of the IDF. It's obvious. And the IDF is the most important security organization in Israel. But our enemies also, they know that they cannot defeat our military on the conventional battlefield. So what do? What is their strategy for, I think, the last 2 or 3 decades? It's not a coincidence that they arm themselves with missile and rockets and they fire them indiscriminately and they dig terror tunnels. They want to target our home front because they want to terrorize our citizens. They know that they cannot defeat the IDF. So they target the home front, the communities, and they hope that by exploiting and weaponizing the UN and tying our hands from exercising our right to defend ourselves and targeting those communities, they can terrorize us and drive us away from our homeland in fear. Therefore, the most important conclusion is that we today need to strengthen the home front. We need to pay attention to the first responders. And who is more important? I mean, the IDF is safeguarding the borders of Israel, but Magen David Adom safeguards the lives within those borders. So this was my lesson as Minister of Public Security, when I combined it to the conclusions that I learned at the UN, it was for me like a clear decision to join Magen David Adom and to continue my battle to strengthen Israel, but in a different way. I used to speak and fight on the global stage, and now I'm trying to strengthen the paramedics who we call the warriors in white, because, and people should be aware of it, dozens of Magen David Adom's paramedic and volunteers paid the ultimate price since October 7th, because even though they were targeted deliberately, and the Shin Bet shared it with us, today I don't know if I can say the word Shin Bet, but the Shin Bet shared it with us, that they have found on the Nukhba bodies orders to deliberately target Magen David Adom stations and paramedics, because, as I said, they want to terrorize the people who live there. They want them to feel that help is not on the way because they can't get there, our ambulances and paramedics. Therefore, it's so important for the resilience. That's why I call Magen David Adom the backbone of of our national resilience, and that's what Magen David Adom is today.
And didn't that frighten volunteers away from service in that? I mean, being targeted by Nukhba terrorists and also having to witness and see and take care, triage people in the kind of condition that we know from Zaka volunteers who are so traumatized that they have PTSD, etc. And you don't see that causing
yeah,
people...
of course, the images were horrifying, and it was, many people were traumatized, but it's a sacred mission, and this is the spirit of Magen David Adom. Everyone in Magen David Adom, that's what they do every day. They dedicate their life to saving other people's life, and that was, you know, our test. That was the most important day, or since then many days, and we're very proud, you know, that many things, with the help of our supporters in the United States and in other countries, because thank God Magen David Adom has many supporters that are helping to strengthen it and support it for many years, even more than 80 years, even before Israel was established. So today Magen David Adom has the most advanced blood bank on earth. I invite all of you to visit it, and I mean it. I mean, it's underground, fortified. It can function under barrage of rockets, and it helped us even to provide, you know, blood transfusions to the soldiers on the front lines, and people should know it. This war, we succeeded to reduce, I mean, to cut the mortality rate among wounded soldiers in 50%, because our ability to send blood units to the front lines. And thank God we have one of the most advanced dispatch centers that any, I think, emergency organization has, equipped with AI technology that helped us, of course, to respond to thousands of phone calls at the same time, and also prioritize them. We have today helicopters. We are deployed all across Israel, be it Judea and Samaria, of course. Right now we are equipping all the regional councils in Judea and Samaria with armored ambulances because we learned that they are being targeted deliberately by the terrorists. That's right. And that's one of our first priorities. So thank God, as I said, today Magen David Adom is one of the most advanced and technological rescue organization on earth, but we should make sure that it would be the number one, like the IDF.
Absolutely.
And it will be, God willing.
Now, just one quick last question before we wrap it up, and that's a personal one. Do you feel less stressed? No, not that kind of personal one.
Okay. No, because Bibi is going to be here.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't ask me personally. We have no aspirations.
That's right. That's right. No, this one
just want to do our job.
This is just about levels of anxiety. You go from that place at the UN. I can imagine what it's like waking up every morning and having to go there. And now you're doing, as you said, this kind of God's work. Do you feel differently when you get up in the morning?
Look, I was never in a position to talk against the political arena and say that, the professionals are much better. I think every person, if he does his job with a pure commitment to the future of Israel and the Jewish people, he can do many good things, be it in the Knesset, be it in the government, be it in Magen David Adom, or in leading a federation in one of the states of United States. So today, yes, I feel that I'm doing something different. It's less ugly sometimes because you can focus only on doing good and saving lives, but I still have my aspirations to continue and maybe one day influence in other ways.
So thank you so much, Ambassador Gilad.
My honor. Thank you so much.